I don't know if you guys remember from last time when we had all the floors dug up with all the piping and the sewer going out and we were replacing all the plumbing. But let me show you the transformation. Now this property is an investment property, and this is the 4-family unit that we bought back in April of 2023. And this is how it all came out. I don't know if you guys remember when there was literally no floors, no walls, no nothing. But let me show you how it looks now. For the bathroom, we had to make it as efficient as possible because we did have a couple of beams that we could not remove. So this bathroom became very elongated. So the tub all the way in the back, and it gave us a very long space, but it's okay, it works. Now, into the bedroom. So this is the bedroom. We were able to fit a king-size bed in here. I think the most challenging part of this room was the egress windows because we had to make it large enough for, if anything was to go on fire, for a fireman to come in and out and be able to save whoever, was living or sleeping in the room. The most compliment I actually get from this unit is the closet space because we were able to make the space as efficient as possible because this unit only has 2 closets. So we had to make it as useful as possible. So in this entire apartment, the ceiling is all has soundproof insulation because we wanted to make sure that the people living here wouldn't be able to hear the people upstairs, like footsteps and noise and stuff like that, even though it still does. My pride and joy is the kitchen. I feel like I was really going for a more warm, modern feel to it. So with the light floors, the beigeish kind of like cabinets, of course with like the gold handles, the gold faucet, because I wanted everything to pop out. And also, with the countertop, there's a little bit of gold in the countertop. This is like, the bathroom and the kitchen is like by far my most favorite part of the transformation. I wouldn't say there was issues. There was a lot of miscommunications between all the trades, such as the electric, the plumbing, and the contractor themselves. So this is actually my first project that I handpicked all the trades. The plumbing, the electric, and the contractor. Usually most of my flips, my contractor just uses their plumber and electrician. But because this is a unit that we plan on keeping for life, that we wanted to make sure that we knew who the plumber was, who the electrician was, just in case that something did go wrong, we would be able to call them ourselves personally for them to come, fix the problem. Because all 3 trades didn't work with each other and they all went through us, there was a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of mishaps and not knowing where things went. So I think we could have done a better job at coordinating all of that together, but it worked out. We learned, For example, I believe, nobody communicated that we wanted a dishwasher, right? So you need electric and you need plumbing for dishwashers because that's what it requires for a dishwasher, right? After the concrete was all set, we had to go back in and break all the concrete from the dishwasher plumbing because behind this wall is the shower. So we had to make a sewer line from the dishwasher to the shower all the way to the main so that it can all connect together. So that cost us about an extra $1,000 from re-breaking the concrete, then redoing the plumbing, and then electric, and lesson learned, $1,000 learned. The transformation and rehabbing this unit actually took a little bit longer than we anticipated due to permits, due to inspections, due to the tenants that we were evicting at the same time. Our contractor, which I understand, didn't want to waste their time and bring their men here just to work on one unit at a time. So what they wanted was that all the units to be empty so they can work on all the units together, so it didn't waste anybody's time and it would cost them more money if they actually did one unit at a time. The beginning process was very quick. We end up, doing like the floors, the concrete and everything, and taking down walls and stuff like that, and cleaning all the debris. That was really quick. But then we were at like a standstill for almost about 4 to 6 months because we were trying to evict the previous tenants because we wanted to get into their units because their units were about like not touched for like 40 years. Like it was, it was a mess. So I would say from the time that we actually purchased this building was the end of April of 2023. And I would say like finished construction wise, the whole thing took us about 11 months. That's kicking out tenants, that's renovating 4 different units at the same time, that's with permits, that's with inspections. To be really honest, I think 11 months is really good. We were very blessed to have a good, amazing attorney, which helped us move the eviction process with the courts way faster. Remember, we're after the pandemic, there's a lot of, cases in the courts. So we've just been really lucky. So this building is a 4-family house. Because of the condition that this building was in, we did get it for a very good deal. But the thing is that when you do get a very good deal, there's a lot of construction and rehab that comes into this. I think in the beginning, when we first started this project, we had estimated about $220,000 to renovate the exterior, interior, all 4 units. At the end of the project, we were definitely over budget. Construction, you're always over budget. It just doesn't matter what you're doing, right? At the end cost, it cost us about almost $300,000, a little bit more, which we were not financially prepared for. So that all that extra money came out of our own savings, of our W-2 salary, and pretty much everything was poured into this property. Now the plan is to refinance out and be able to pay all our investors back, our hard money, and hopefully, the plan was to try to get some of the renovation money back, but because of the market we are in, we really don't have any solid comps for like a 4-family house. There's so many houses that are 2 families that's sold for $800 or more around this area, but because there's no 4-family that sold in the last year, that's what's going to prevent us from getting a higher after resale value. So we're kind of just going through that whole process of refinancing now, and with just praying that the appraiser will appraise this property for over $1 million, or hopefully 1.2, 1.1. That's our goal. We originally thought when we had planned this when we had first bought it, the initial scope of work was about $230,000. What ended up happening, what it actually cost us at the end was about $310,000. So that's about like $80,000 or $70,000 more than we had anticipated. So we bought the property for $580,000 for a family because it had a lot of renovations, right? So now, the total project cost is about $900,000, and the goal is to get appraised for over $1 million, so we can get all our money back and our investment back. That is the goal. Pray for us. What have I learned? Listen to your lawyers. Get a great lawyer, actually, because I think our lawyer definitely was the main contributor to getting our tenants out as fast as possible. Another thing I've learned is that you have to communicate everything with all the contractors, all trades, like between the electrician, especially if you're going to handpick your own electrician and your own plumber, and the contractor, they all work separately. When you pick a contractor and their team and they all work together and they communicate outside of you, it's a much easier process, and that is the process that I do for most of my flips. But because this was a long-term hold, I wanted to make sure that I knew who the plumber and the electrician was that worked on the property. And I think what I would do differently is to maybe, I see a lot of investors that they like paint, on the walls, on the floors, like where everything goes, such as lights, such as plumbing, such as, all the things laid out, which would make the process go even faster and more efficient without having to go back and redo some work. Another thing that I learned is real estate investing is hard. Like, there's messes with their emotions. There's up and downs. There's like one day you feel on top of the world. The next day you feel like you're a little warm in a dirt hole because shit is falling apart, I also learned that everything is negotiable. There's so many things like in the price itself that I could have negotiated and try to save some money. But naturally, I'm just not a good negotiator. And I feel like I could have saved a lot of money if I had negotiated with the trades, with our contractor about the price and, you know, what things actually cost. Because this is a 4-unit building, each unit was at a different stage, you know, in the construction, which was kind of hard to keep track of. Unit 1 was like on flooring versus when unit 3 was like, you know, like only sheetrock. So I guess coordinating and making sure that you are on top of everything, which is hard, right? You know, that's also like important, and it's definitely a skill that I had to learn along this process. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, right? But I definitely am a little better coming out of this project than I was before when I was entering. Prior to renovating this property, we have done 2 other flips, which was 23 Grove Street and 38th Street. Those were 2 flips that I bought, renovated, and sold. This strategy was a little different. I bought, I renovated, and I'm holding on to, right, for investment properties and for rental income and everything. So I would definitely say that the first 2 flips, 23 Grove Street and 38th Street, definitely prepared us for the renovation for this huge project, right? Because this is actually the biggest project that we've actually done, you know, of 4 units, all at different stages, with evictions, you know, with hiring our own different trades. But I would definitely say this was a little bit more stressful because it was just such a bigger project. But that's okay. Like, we are learning and we are growing, and as each project goes on, every single project will have its own lesson to teach you. So it's kind of like the more projects you do, the more lessons you learn and the more experience you get, right? But this being actually our 3rd renovation is quite impressive. We do get a lot of like compliments from, you know, our contractors, our other investors, friends and mentors and stuff like that, like commending us on taking such a big project and such an early stage in our journey in investing. I kind of just like to go all in, right? Like, if I see an opportunity, I just like go for it. So my advice for somebody new starting is to just do it. Don't think about the consequences. Don't think about how you're gonna do it. Just take the first step and do it, okay? It's never gonna be perfect. It's never gonna be the perfect time, the perfect house, the perfect contractor. It's never gonna be perfect. Just do it, because you will learn along the way. And every single time you hit a problem, you're learning, you know? And it doesn't matter how many books you read, how many podcasts you listen to. If you're not doing it yourself, you're not gaining the experience and you're not learning. So just do it, like Nike said. My biggest goal in life and purpose in life is to get all of you out there and to go after your dreams and to make a living for yourself outside of the typical society. And the whole point of this, the whole point of this video, the whole point of this channel, the whole point of anything that I put out there in social media is to show everybody that we can do it. We don't have to wait for somebody to give us the, you know, the hand to help us or anything like that. You learn knowledge as you go. And if they can do it, we can do it. Why can't we do it? If you want to take this crazy journey with me, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell, follow me on all the social medias, and visit liusestate.com. Thank you for watching.